So, hi everyone, welcome all. IMS CIE, a leader in international education in India. We are delighted to present a discussion on Be Future Ready. Right, all of you guys, a lot of you guys are students, so this is a topic that is going to be especially relevant to you in the current times. Our aim is to provide you expert insights so that you can take an informed decision that is right for you. We have two eminent people with us on the panel today. We have with us Mr. Kamlesh Sajnani, who is the Managing Director of the IMS Learning Resources, which is one of the most known education conglomerates in India. Besides that, he's a member of Board of Directors at Pro School, also chairperson of the Board of Governors at Praxis Business School. He's an education stalwart with more than 25 years of experience. Alongside him, our guest today is Professor Themin Suwardy. He's the Dean of Postgraduate Professional Programs at Singapore Management University. I will now hand over to Kamlesh to introduce our guest. Kamlesh, over to you.
So I'll repeat again. Thank you very much, Sumit. Guys, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this lovely webinar, Be Future Ready. There are a lot of questions that we have on our mind on what the world is going to look post-COVID, and we will actually pick Professor Suwardy's mind on this, and he is a great exponent and has an immense amount of experience, and hopefully he'll be able to give it the direction. So Sumit himself, by the way, the gentleman who introduced me is a double MBA. He is an MBA from Bajaj and as well as Berkeley, and he leads the International Education Division of IMS. I would like to talk a little bit before we begin on about SMU. So SMU is Singapore Management University. I think it's a brilliant place. So is Singapore. Many of us may have been there and enjoyed it. A pioneer, this institution is a pioneer in broad-based tertiary education in Singapore. So SMU is a complete university and it has 6 schools, right? One is the School of Accountancy, the Lee Kong Chian School of Business, the School of Economics, the School of Information Systems, the School of Law, and the School of Social Sciences. And the campus is very strategically located within the city itself. So SMU has become an integral part of the central business district of Singapore, similar to many of the world's great urban universities. Situated at the very heart of Singapore's civic, cultural, and business district, SMU has especially close working relationships with business community as well as the neighboring cultural institutions. And guys, Singapore weather is just like India, so and not too very far from here either, right? All right, so now I would like to introduce the guest for the evening, Professor Themin Suwardy. Professor Suwardy is the Dean of Postgraduate Professional Programs at Singapore Management University. Prior to joining the academia, Professor was an auditor with KPMG. Guys, he's also a PhD from Monash, and he's also completed his bachelor's from Monash University in Australia. His love for education is proven by the fact that he has received more than 20 awards from SMU and from international teaching communities. Professor Suwardy has been active member of the accounting profession through his involvement over the years in numerous professional bodies, including the CPA Australia. He was also the president for a couple of years for the Singapore division of CPA Australia. Professor Suwardy has also served as Vice President of the International Association of Accounting, Education and Research. And importantly, in 2015, he was conferred the Lifetime Achievement Award by CPA Australia. Professor Suwardy has consulted also, and it's a part of academic profession. And he's worked with KPMG in forensics, which is very interesting, in Singapore. He's worked with DFS Singapore. He's worked with the Singapore Airlines. He's been with Hewlett Packard. He's consulted with Accounting and Corporate Regulatory Authority of Singapore, amongst others. Professor Suwardy has also research interests, again very important, which include corporate governance and controls. Apart from that, there is accounting and education, financial reporting and disclosure, amongst others. So Professor Suwardy, it's a pleasure to have you with us, and it will be an honor to hear from you. Even I'm worried what is going to happen in the future. So hopefully I also will learn from what you have to say. And at the end, there will be a few questions. And of course, we will put that to you and we would love you to answer those questions. So over to you, Professor Suwardy. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Namaste. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming and joining us today. I will have to start and by thanking the organizer for making arrangements and reading my long resume. I normally told my staff when I do this sort of talk not to say too much. And basically, I'm here just as a person sharing a little bit of experience with you. But for this particular talk, the idea of whether how do we get future ready? Are you future ready? What are happening in the future and so on? I will have to start with a caveat. I'm not a futurist. There are plenty of futurists around, futurists who predict what life is going to be like. They look at societies and think, 10, 20, 30 years, that sort of stuff. I'm not a futurist. I'm very much grounded in the profession. I see what happens in the accounting sector. I see what happens in business. I see what happens in finance. I talk to people who run businesses. And we all have a fair idea that if there is anything that is constant, it's always change. But one key element that I would think we all agree is that change is a lot more pronounced nowadays than years ago. With the advent of the technology and everything that we have, change has become so much faster. And in terms of getting ready for the future, in terms of thinking about what does the future hold for me, what sort of skill sets do I want, what sort of gaps are there, what sort of stuff do I have to do, I think it's important to sort of have a quick reflection on where things are. So I propose a very short trip to have a look at what's the past, what's the present, and what might the future bring. And I'm going to summarize that in pretty much 2 slides. First is this whole idea of the industrial revolutions that we are in. And you may have heard of this. This is officially or originally a term that was coined through some think tank in Germany. They talk about Industry 4.0. And the idea there is, while we have gone through the first industrialization back in the 1780s, these are your steam engine, your water power, machines started to happen. We then have electricity, we have production lines, and that changed the world. And the third, and Industry 3.0, around not too long, it's only about 50 years ago, that we started having IT, electronics, automation. You could associate TV, radio with that time as well, computers, but they are still seen largely as separate from the human side of things. They tend to be on its own. They don't talk to each other very much. Yes, the internet around 70s and so on, start connecting computer, but they tend to be in their own world. Now, the present, we are in the starting phase of this, what we call Industry 4.0. That will bring a lot of challenges to how work will be like and how we will be like in the future. So how does 4.0 different from 3.0? Is this just a OS upgrade? Is it just a version number? Actually, it's not. The scale of change is exponential. The change from 3.0 to 4.0 is going to be so drastic that we will sometimes forget what is human, what is no longer human. Yeah, this is where some of us who watch sci-fi movies would say, this is the age of the robots. The robots are coming. Part of it is a little bit true. You look at the way our life is. You can talk to Siri. You can ask Alexa. There are many things in our life that has merged real life and computer system when they used to be very separate. Again, the idea of Industry 4.0 is how interconnected everything is and how we can communicate across realms. Things are not just in the computer space, not just in the physical space, but there are connections across them. So in this environment that we are in, people say they use a lot of words for this, the cybernetics. They say this is the cloud time, this is the connected time, this is automated manufacturing, etc., etc. The one key thing that binds all these things together is that the world are going to be more connected than we realize. Your light bulb can send a message to you that say, I'm dying soon. Before you come back home, please order something. Even better, you can automate the light bulb to order a replacement for itself. Your phone will know that your heart rate is not doing well, and it could, make calls for you. It could inform your family and so on. So these are the sort of examples where life and the physical life and the machine's life are interconnecting. We're not talking, you know, the pure sci-fi Terminator stuff, of course. We're not talking about that yet. But you know stories. You've heard stories of machineries, robots being used for dangerous work, for safety, for rescue, for mining operations, and so forth. You talk about autonomous vehicle, self-driving vehicles. You heard about the ideas of drones doing delivery and so on and so on. So the idea is that we are still at the very start of this revolution, and it's going to come faster than most of us. Actually, it's going to come faster than any university can prepare you. It'll come faster than any books can prepare you. So the way you approach it really is about yourself, is your attitude. It's how you deal with the change. Are you ready for the future? How can you be future ready? Now, in the next 5-10 minutes, I'm going to share a few things with you based on research and public data about how you can prepare yourself for that time. I'll use some example here and there. I'll borrow some from accounting because that's what I'm familiar with. But in general, this will be applicable to whether you're going to finance, you're going to HR, or you're going to any discipline at all. So let me just go through a couple of things. First, there's a lot of this stuff that talks about profession dying. Things you should not do. You should not become this, you should not study that, you should not do this because it's going to go away. It's going to go away. You have lists like this that says if you're a telemarketer, loan officer, cashier, so and so, so and so and so and so. Studies have told, there are plenty of studies about this, the future of professions and so on, that will tell you these jobs are going to go away. And equally, there are stories that tells you, if you want to be safe, these are the sort of jobs that will be very, very safe. I like the fifth one there. It says clergy. So if you're a monk, if you're a priest, the idea is that it's very hard to replace you. So I guess that's some comfort. But I want to draw away your attention from this whole concept of professions are doomed. That is not the case. McKinsey says it's not the job, it's the activities within the job that matters. So we all know whatever job professions we are in, we don't just do one thing, we do a multiple activities. It's the activities and how we move up the value chain that is important, not the job per se. In other words, the role of a CFO will change, the role of a banker will change, the role of a publisher will change, the role of a HR manager will change, and you're shifting to different kind of role because there are automations that are coming in. Let me share with you what McKinsey says about the 7 types of work. Again, not the job, but the types of work. You see this at the bottom here. I'm not too sure whether my cursor is showing, but you can see at the bottom here. So what they're saying here, and just to keep it really short and simple, is that on the blue side, the blue bars here, and you can see the percentage here. What they're saying is that these 3 blue bars are activities that are easily automated, highly susceptible to automation. These are data collection, data processing, and predictable physical work. If you have to keep on, you can see right now, you can have a car manufacturing plant without a single person. And that's already happening right now. That's not in the future. That is right now. If you have repetitive physical work, there is a better way to do that. All right, automation will come in and so forth. Then there is a green part. The green part is less susceptible, but there's still machinery coming into effect. These are unpredictable physical work, stakeholder interaction, kindergarten teachers, people who deal with other people, people who have to connect and have that a physical relationship with other people. And on the left-hand side is when you're applying expertise and you're managing others. McKinsey says this 2 type of activity is the one that are less likely to be automated. Again, it is not the job, it's the things you do in the role that you do. So whatever we do, whatever role we are, the less we do blue, the more we do green and the orangey part, the higher we are in the value chain of, in the value creation chain. And that's where computers cannot replace us. All right. So let me show you a couple more things. All right. Here's a I hope this plays. We tried it just now. This is a very short video. It's only 1 minute and 20 seconds or something. And this comes from the OECD. It brings up some meaning to what work is in the future. So I'm just going to play it for you. I hope it works. And the organizers, if this doesn't work sound-wise and so on, please let me know. I think it will work. Okay, thank you. I'm told the slides are too small for your screen. Let me magnify this. I don't know how I can do this in Zoom, but let me just try whether does this make any difference. Is this okay?
Yeah, that's better, Professor Suwardy. That's better.
So,
immediate full screen, that's all.
Yeah, so my apologies for that, because I was trying to watch myself on the other end as well. So hopefully that's better. Again, my apologies. I hope you can hear me as well. And again, with teleconferencing and so on, sometimes you get good bandwidth, sometimes you don't. So my apologies for the environment we have to work in. So let me just move on very, very quickly. So the idea there is work is changing, and there is skills gap. All right, there's clearly skills gap, and the ILO, the International Labour Organization, tell us skill gaps in the issue, skill obsolescence in the issue. There are skill shortages because people are not upgrading enough, and there's a lot of underskills. So the idea is that if we want to be ready for the future, how do we get ready? How do we approach this skills gap? If you think about what skills you want to add to your repertoire to be ready in the future, in general, we talk about two ways. We talk about the idea of having broader skill sets. So you could be an engineer, you could be a computer programmer. You may be thinking, look, I know something here. I have some expertise in something. I want to broaden my capabilities. I want to learn something else new. So that's one, okay? So the idea there is learning something that is broader, something beyond the ability to work outside your area. There is another way of equipping yourself if you come from the top part. So if you have come from a more generic degree that has less specialization, some people would say that, look, because you have a generic degree, you may want to anchor yourself with something more specific. Functional area, accounting, finance, IT, whatever else, so that you are more complete T-shaped professionals. The skill sets you're building, again, if you look at some of the reports about what is changing, again, most of them are the same. But if you look at the skill sets that we think will be that are rated to be very highly important right now, you can see the list here: complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, people management, etc., etc. All this stuff are harder to learn because they are not necessarily technical skills. We can all go and do a MOOC, read a book, sign up for a program, learn things online. But these 10 skills are very hard to meet. These 10 skills are very hard to improve on because you need other people to do this. You cannot learn to be good in people management by yourself. You cannot improve your emotional intelligence if you're reading off computer screen. Yeah, we all can, as I said, we can all read books and self-improve. But to be able to actually build these skills, there is a need for interaction with stakeholders and other parties. So how do we start? Again, the World Economic Forum says there's 4 suggestions. So we talk about skills that are needed for the future, the gaps that are there, and how do you meet the gap. 4 things. Embrace lifelong learning. Let go of the idea that just because you got an MBA, you're done. Let go of the idea that just because you have studied a bachelor or whatever degree and so on, you're done for life. There is no such thing as being done for life. We all learn every day. It is that moves us forward, right? Second, start early. The earlier we start getting ready for the future, the more ready we will be. So don't postpone the learning. Don't postpone the inquisitiveness. Don't postpone your desire to learn something new, experience a new, culture or whatever. Don't delay it. Start early. Be inclusive. Learn from people who are not like you. Be challenged by people who are different from you. So inclusivity is very important, because if we don't expose ourselves to different kind of thinking, different kind of working, different kind of culture, different kind of processes, and so on, we will never go beyond groupthink. And groupthink is extremely dangerous because you are just confirming what you believe amongst your own people who are exactly the same. And the last one there is join force with other people. And the idea is that reskilling is not a single person journey. It's about a collective journey. Now, how could you do that? Right? How could you do that? You could do that through an education program. As I was saying earlier, an education program is where the soft skill and the hard skills are built into one place for you to invest in your own studies, invest your own time to make yourself ready for the future. You want to make sure that you're not just learning technical skills, because as you see, the soft skills are just as important. So yes, you want to go learn the technical stuff, but you also want to be able to develop as an individual. Now, let me play a message for you, a few key messages about the mega trends about education right now. Again, we have gone through those. We explain why education is important. Be ready, embrace lifelong learning, involve other people, learn from as much diverse population as you can. So if we think about education in that sense, what are the trends that we are seeing? This is done by ISEF, and there are 3 key points I'll share with you. Number 1, we are now, Asia right now is the biggest source of wealth in the world, all right? This is who we are. We are the one who has the power to spend on, on healthcare, because, on banking, finance, education, entertainment, anything else. It's because the economic growth in our part of the world has been so high that we are now able to afford things. So there is a great movement from Asia. That's number 1. The second mega trend is that the quality of education in Asia has improved tremendously. In the old days, you always go, you think about going, America, Europe, Australia, wherever else, because you think that that is the only place you can get quality education. That is clearly not the case right now. If you look at the top 50 MBA programs, for example, only about 20% are American schools. The rest are Asia and Europe. In fact, the percentage of Asian schools in top 50 MBA program in the world has increased over the years. So the point here is that many students are adding Asia destination to their list of choices. Here's the last one. These Asian choices are 1, closer to home, and usually more affordable. So the idea of getting value for money education, high quality, world-class education, somewhere closer to home makes a lot of sense to many students, right? So that was just a big mega trends. I'll play a very, very quick message from my bosses. I have the president of my university and my provost here. A very short message about our university, our campus.
SMU City Campus sits in the middle of Singapore's Arts and Heritage Precinct and right next to the Central Business District. Discover how SMU Masters enriches your life within the classroom as well as beyond it.
Our innovative postgraduate curriculum enables you to develop new understandings, to critically appraise what you thought you understood, and to come up with a new appreciation of the world. You want to become a master of the future, we're here to support you to become a master of the future.
Be a part of SMU Masters. You'll have a unique opportunity to invest in your own development, immerse yourself in a learning environment that will help you propel into the future.
So as you can see,
SMU City.
sorry. Oops. So as you can see, a lot of us in our messages, we are all about preparing for the future. In fact, one of our common tagline is master your future. And so this topic is very close to our heart, and we think we have programs can help you do that. I won't go through the specific details on the program and so on. I'll share a little bit, but I just thought I'd get the students to tell you what are the 5 great things, 5 key features of our program.
So if you look at the varieties of master's programs that SMU is providing, it's world-renowned.
It is a seminar style where the students and professor are engaged in a conversation.
Because of great faculty members who are not going to be just your teachers but mentors.
You have the class participation, you have assignments, you have labs, you have projects.
Practical skills, not only hard skills but also soft skills.
A huge network of people who are related to the industry, very practical, application oriented.
The location is great if you're looking for that lively campus feel.
So those points that the students talk about, and you can see quite a few of them are from our MBA program, from our IT program, from our finance program and so forth, but they all come together because they believe in the programs that we're offering. I won't go to the details. I can save that for Q&A if necessary. My colleagues are here with me as well. Rashnish, that some of you may know. Ivan are also on the chat line. We can talk about that later on. But I just want to go very, very quickly about what are we offering, why this is the best combination to get you ready for the future, and the programs that we have. All right, so again, very quickly, global recognition. Everybody talk about recognition in different ways, but I think as a very young, specialized university, we are very, very unique. Many of us look at ranking. Rankings are important. It's a way of doing shortlisting and minimizing your risk. Right? If somebody is in a ranking of something, it can't be that bad. People think they are good. Sometimes we don't know why is it good. And there are many kinds of rankings. I will tell you why, in general, a university like SMU will not do well in ranking. Generally, number one, we are a small university, specialized university. Many of the listing of universities are comprehensive universities. They have engineering, chemical engineering, computer science, and dentistry and medicine and everything else. Big comprehensive universities. We are not comprehensive university. The second letter in our name is management. We are a management university. So if you think about it as an analogy, whether it's football or cricket or whatever else, it's like going to play with just 3-4 teams, with 3-4 team members. If you go to cricket and you only have 3-4-5 people on the field, you would rank not as well compared to all the other university that has all the 11 people or whatever number of people you have in the cricket team, right? Because you are not a full university, because your area is specialized. So number one is specialty university. So for a specialty university, it's very difficult as a university to be together with a comprehensive university. That's number one. And number two is because we are specialized and we're very, very young, the appropriate combinations, the comparison should be position to position. So compare the MBA to MBA, compare the finance to finance, compare MIM to MIM. That's a fair comparison because you're talking about the program to program, and that's a sort of equal setting. So it's almost like saying, who is the, compare batsman to batsman, compare wicketkeeper to wicketkeeper, or something like that. So the idea is that it's far more even in terms of that particular specialization. And the final message I will say about ranking is that we pick the person we want to be with, not because of ranking. We pick the person we want to be with because of fit, you like it, there's something meaningful that you're trying to achieve together. We don't go around saying, where are you ranked before I want to be your friend, for example. It's all about fit. Ranking is important for you to, draw as key points, but it is not everything. The most important is fit. Is this the right place for you? Do you see yourself change at this place? Do you see yourself growing at this place? That's the most important question. But if you like ranking, we'll tell you we have ranking, okay? If you like ranking, we have ranking. But I think ranking is the wrong reason for you to choose university. Sometimes when the students are so fixated on ranking, I sometimes turn it the other way around. Okay, so where are you ranked? What ranking do you have? So I think it's not a, it's just a question about, it's not the ranking to ranking. If you're top 1%, you want to go to top 1%, maybe. But if you are not top 1% and you keep saying that, why can't you get into the 1%? The answer is that there is a fit, a match that is important to consider as well. So it's very important for us to find each other. Finding each other is far more important than finding ranking. Second, the faculty, we spoke about faculties as an example of the faculties that we have in the classrooms, the idea of learning about problem solving here. Yes, we all do Harvard cases. Yes, we all do IV cases. We all learn from cases. Cases are a way for you to solve problems. So rather than just seeing something from a technical perspective, you see it from a problem perspective and how you solve problems. You solve problems by looking at cases. But instead of just looking at American cases or European cases, learn from Asia, because Asia is the next engine of growth. And this is just examples of cases that we have written at SMU, cases that you will go through in class, and the idea is that learning to solve problems in Asia is not the same as other parts of the world. So there's interesting dynamics you can take out of that. I will skip this. Career employment, I'll say a little bit, because career aspiration is always a big thing for many of our students. Our students are always interested about, how they can grow in a career opportunity-wise. And the answer there is that we will provide you as much opportunity as we can, but one has to be realistic that no university will be able to promise you a job or promise you a visa or anything like that. You have to do the interview. You have to convince the employer that you are the best fit for the job. You have to do, again, the residency application and all the other stuff. So the idea is that the university enables you to do so. We provide the infrastructure from career fair, career training, a whole bunch of workshops, help you with a resume, help you with interviews. And we provide all this stuff for you, but you have to walk the walk. All right, nobody can force you through the walk. We can't drag you through the walk. So it's a combination of efforts between you and the university and opportunities. So networking, from a networking perspective, opportunities are going to be abound. How it works out for everybody is going to be different. If you look at the statistics that we have on career or internship opportunities, you will find that our students in the MIM program, our students in the MBA program have been very lucky, and they have always been able to get the internship while they are studying. So that's always a great opportunity, because it lets you see not just education perspective and social perspective, but also some professional connections, and learning to experience work in Singapore or elsewhere regionally would help you with your eventual career transition. And I mentioned the City campus before, and again, if you have been to Singapore, you would have known where we are, right in the center, as Kamlesh was saying, right in the center of the City campus, in the city area. And pictures there. So this is my final, second final slide. This is about the programs that we have, in case you are wondering and you're thinking about your choices. We largely group our program, at least for this presentation, to make it easier, between pre-experience and post-experience. The pre-experience program are programs that do not require a fixed number of work experience. So this is, our MIM program, for example, Master in Management, our finance program, our accounting program, our MITB program. Our MITB program is #1 in Asia, for example. If you like ranking, again, it's not really the ranking, it's the fit. But if you want ranking, our MITV program is doing very, very well. MSFE, MSF Economics program, and our law program. On the right-hand side, you see our post-experience program. These are programs that require to have some work experience. We say normally minimum 2 years, preferably 3, all the way up to 10 years for our EMBA. The EMBA have 10 years requirement. The average is actually about 15 to 18 years of experience. Our MBA, we say between 2 to 3 years of experience. The actual average is about 5. So you can see between requirement and actual, they could vary a little bit, and so forth. And what I've tried to do here as well is to give you a little bit of indication on how long the program is on a full-time basis and when do they start. Again, you can find out more of this information from our website and our colleagues, but this is just a very broad perspective of the programs that we have in finance, in management, in accounting, IT, and economics, as well as law. I'm going to open for questions very soon, but since I don't have a chance of bringing some alumni to you, normally when we do talks and so on, we bring our alumni together so you can ask them questions. So I thought I have this is a video we just did about 2 weeks ago, a month ago, for some students talking about the experience in the program, answering common questions. So I'm just going to play that first, and then we can go back to the idea of, you know, future ready and what you want to do with your preparation and so on. So let me just play this one for you. This is my last one.
Hi everyone, I'm Priyanka and I recently graduated from the SMU's MSc in Management degree, and I'm going to be answering some of your common questions. 1. I'm considering to pursue a master's degree right after my undergrad. Is this risky or should I work for a couple of years? Well, that's a good question, and it completely depends on you and what you want out of your master's program. So keep that as your anchor and your guiding force to decide that. Do you want a good academic experience? You don't necessarily need work ex for that. Do you want to become a much stronger candidate because you feel you aren't one already? Maybe you need work ex for that. So think about what you want out of your master's degree, and the decision should become much easier. Question 2. What influenced your decision to pursue your master's degree? Well, rather than just taking up a random master's course, right, I decided timing was key. So I took up a master's degree, or decided to pursue it, only when I felt I was ready for it, only when I felt I was sure of what I wanted to pursue, and only when I felt there were gaps in my learning that a master's degree could fulfill. Question 3. What's the most challenging part of pursuing an SMU master's course? Having a life maybe, but no, I'm kidding. Not challenging per se, but I think just embracing a new age learning ethos that SMU promotes, especially in Southeast Asia, where they really encourage you to speak out. They encourage you to make high quality presentations and put yourself out there. It's a wonderful new way of learning. Question 4. Is there an internship in your program, and how has it helped you? Yes, the MSc Management degree does come with a 6-month internship program. It's a very, very rewarding experience. For me, it was sort of my first tryst into the Singapore market, my first sort of sneak peek into how things work in Singapore. And it was a success story because I did convert it and I'm working there full time now. So yeah, there you have it. Thank you for your question.
So let me recap and we'll open to question after this. So we talk about getting ready for the future. We got to understand that changes are happening all around us. They are, whether it's technology, whether it's people, whether it's a borderless nation, whether it's working from home and you know, telecommuting, and the changes are happening all the time. How can we get ready for it? Is being open to the fact that there are skills gaps, that we need to be able to do better to equip ourselves. And I shared with you, is more than just about, you know, soft skills or hard skills, but it's actually a combination of two things. It's a combination of technical skills, broad management skills, and soft skills. How do you bridge that gap? The way you could bridge that gap really is by, again, adopting a belief that is lifelong learning, to do it early, to do it with a lot of other people, and involve as many people as you can, because you can't be ready for your future by yourself. Now, with that, I will pass it back to our host, Kamlesh, and we can take some questions, whether it's in generic questions about the topic, or specific questions about our university, our programs, and so forth, we can handle both. And my colleagues are also here as well, in case I don't have answers for you.
Dr. Suwardy, thank you very much. It was quite an interesting presentation on the being ready for future. I have a couple of questions personally, and then I will take the students' questions. Guys, if you have any questions, you can put on Q&A, right? And my question is, you know, Jamie Dimon, who is the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, very recently stated that degrees are not going to be important. It's the skills that are going to be important. So how do you think the students or we as parents or even as future managers should look at degrees at all? I mean, what was the meaning behind that statement, if you can throw a little light on it?
In some way, he's correct. For the unique individuals, the geniuses, it is never the degree, it's the skill set. And the world has changed such a way that there are people who are very, very suited for that, right? There are people who are suited for that. These are your, I don't know, 10, you know, it doesn't have to be the skill set we talk about. It can be sports. It can be anything. It could be a 10-year-old, you know, grandmaster in chess, a 10-year-old golf, or a 15-year-old computer genius or something. That is quite true for that select group of people who are, for whatever reasons, have the blessings to be special, more special than the rest of us, because the skills comes out first. But for the majority of the workforce, where getting that rounding of education, getting that experience, getting that degree of comfort, it is very hard to stumble on those skill sets and those knowledge by accident. You know, some of us are very lucky. I have a very good boss, and I learned a lot from my boss. I learned how to be a good manager. I learned how to do things and so on. But that's by chance. I have a very good boss. It's very hard to do something systematically without an education program. So yes, for certain people, where certain particular skill sets are key, the top whatever percentage of people who don't need degree will have their opportunities. But for the majority of the workforce, we're talking about millions and millions of people, they will find that they do not want their learning process to be a gamble. They do not want their learning process to be unstructured. They want to be able to say, look, I want to go to a university, and they have designed the curriculum well, that have selected their faculty well, and the faculty are fabulous faculty who research and who know stuff, who can help me learn the most efficient way. And I want people that I can be with so I can learn to be better. So they want an opportunity where they minimize their risk of learning. I think that's very important difference between some people who has that capability and for the majority of people where an education is still a process in which you go through to make sure you minimize your risk. I don't know whether I answer your questions or not, but I think in general, we always acknowledge there are people who, you know, superstars who despite, you know, regardless of what they do, they will be superstars.
Yeah, it's a challenging question, but it's an interesting one, right? And the future is, and since we are talking about future ready, it's going to look different. So since we are talking about skills, and you mentioned that for most of us, the degree is kind of critical and important and accepted, most importantly. What are the skills that you believe SMU imbibes in the students, apart from the qualification, that helps them to be future ready?
Let me give you an example. I skip it in my deck, in my slide. But the feature of most master's program nowadays, whether it's in Europe and Australia, Singapore, they tend to be shorter. Shorter programs because it's less expensive, number one, less opportunity costs for you to pack as much as you can within a shorter time. One of the drawbacks from a packed schedule is you don't get to appreciate other things outside your degree. So one of the ways we have tried to change this, and we do this in a very meaningful way, and we are spending quite a bit of money on this, is that we tell our students, look, technical knowledge are important, your accounting, your law, your finance, your green financing, your sustainability, your all these topics are important. Those professors know what they're talking about, go study hard. But you need to equip yourself with professional skills while you are here with us. So we invest a lot in helping our students build skill sets. Let me just give you an example. Just last week, 2 weeks ago, we have about 300-400 students go through electronic workshops like this, e-workshop, because we can't have classes right now because of COVID. So we run workshops, and our students are supposed to pick, this is for all masters, yeah, all master students. All our students have to pick 3 topics during their candidature, and this is a graduation requirement. The topics are professional skill sets topic. So it's about, you know, things like leadership, negotiation, data visualization, and et cetera, et cetera. But the idea is, I don't care if you're an accounting student, I don't care if you're a MIM student, I don't care if you're law students, you must equip yourself with skill sets. So we are forcing our students in some way that you must pick up 3 new things while you're with us. And if you imagine our university, we take in about 1,200 students a year, 1,200 a year. If I ask every one of them to do 3 workshops, that's 3,600 seats workshops a year. And if each workshop takes 40 people, you can imagine how many workshops we run and the amount of investment we make into creating opportunities for our students to pick up new skills outside the discipline. And it is also an opportunity for them to network. We think networking is invaluable. The fact that you can be in the same professional workshop with students from other disciplines, it amplifies your network. So I'm just going to give you, there's a whole long list of topics that we offer in the professional series workshop. We let our students choose. We don't force them to choose, to do 1, 2, 3. We say, here is a whole list. We will pay for it. You go do it. In fact, we say that if you finish your first 3 that is required, and if you want to do more and have a space for it, I'll let you sit in. Every time you sit for this sort of workshops and so on outside, you have to pay money for it. And we say here, if we have a place for it, you can pick up as many skills as you want before you go out, because we strongly believe in equipping you beyond just theoretical knowledge, but also with skill sets.
Thank you, Professor. I have one more question on this before I take the students' questions. COVID has taught us that technology is now extremely critical. Okay, maybe 5-10 years ago we could have thought that, all right, it's happening, we are moving, things are going. But technology is now critical, and it is all pervasive. It's omnipotent, right? It's in any function that you even think of. Right? I mean, even in marketing, even in communication, the software aspects, even in public health, if we talk about. I mean, data has become very critical, and technology is riding on that criticality, right? So, would you advise? And there are quite a few of us who are actually worried and scared of Python. When somebody talks about Python, we only know it as a snake, right? But it becomes quite a challenge for some of the students when we talk about, and you see, analytics is critical. You know that, I know that, and everybody who knows something knows that. Now, in data analytics and data science, which is an all-pervasive part of each and every function that we are taught, how important is knowing these? What shall I call, language skills, computational language skills?
No, I think
we do without it.
Yes, yeah. There are those who are really in the field, creating algorithms and data and programming and AI and things that are associated with that field to produce stuff. All right. Now, for that, you need the skills. You need your Python, you need your language, you need your stuff, because you are actually the one that are building the algorithm. The data in itself has no meaning. Is the way you process the data into information. Now, obviously, what's new now is the volume of the data, the speed of the data, the pervasiveness of the data that makes, this big data analytics exciting again. But back in our times, analysis has always been there. We always talk about analysis. We always talk about information systems. It's old. Older people know that we have always talked about this, but now it's sexy because it's fast. The graphics are now everywhere. In our time, if you get a bar chart with XXXX, you're very happy, right? But now it's so visual. You can manipulate data. You can do things. You can do what if. You can do predictive. You can do, the sort of things you can do are so amazing. Now, if you are interested in producing them, you will need to know the language. Okay? But if you're talking about yourself as a sales manager, if you're talking yourself as an accountant, if you're talking yourself as a lawyer, even somebody like a lawyer, you would think that law has, what has got to do with technology? Well, hang on. The computer's ability to search law cases and precedents are faster than any human mind. They can do the basic legal paralegal analysis faster than anybody. They can develop scenarios faster than anybody. Now, is the lawyer going to be programming that? The answer is probably not. But the lawyer wants to be able to use that information. Do the what if, do the analysis, do the big scenario stuff. An accountant, I've done work in forensics, anti-bribery, corruptions, that sort of AML, that sort of stuff. The amount of, we can now predict for every single credit card transaction that goes through, we can predict whether it's fraudulent or not. We can predict by the way it's used, the amount, the place, the whole bunch of things. We know that. Now, I don't need to program it. Somebody else has programmed it, right? Do I need that many programmers? Probably not. I just need to make sure I get good programmers and they build it for me. What the key issue is, what do you use it for? So to use it, to manage it, to look at your risk, to think about your profile, to think about your credit policy, to think about internal control. Now, all those stuff, you don't need programming, right? So I'm saying that it's a very difficult question. You ask very difficult questions. If you are into the programming, you are into the source creation, yes, you would need a language to be able to do that. But if you're talking about using it in our work, and the answer is probably not. But you will need to partner with somebody who can do it. When you talk about partnering somebody to do something, usually it's better if you understand a little bit of it. Right? If I'm going to be a business partner with you, or if I'm going to talk to the auditors or talk to the consultants or whatever else, it's usually better if I understand a little bit what they're doing. So, even if I'm not producing the data, not producing the AI, the algorithm, and so on, will it hurt if I know a bit of it? The answer is no. It's always beneficial to know a little bit about the other side. People like us, we pick up a book, we learn about other things that has nothing to do with us, because it's nice to know what's on the other side. So the general answer is, do you need to know this? Yeah, probably. I picked up a book on Python. I look at what it's done. I've never coded, but I roughly know what it is. If I need to talk to an analyst, I would know what are the constructs, what are the issues, but I won't be doing the program. But there are people who are specializing in that, and they see that their skill sets is to build those bridges between data and information. Is that okay?
We will take the questions from the students now, Prof, and I will come back to one question at the end, which I want an answer to. Hopefully, we will both be able to solve it. Yeah. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So there is Ritam Sharma, and the question that has been put is, sir, what are the challenges in the field of finance, HR, consultancy, and marketing, basically all functions of management, that we are going to face in the coming 3 to 5 years? Any particular challenges you think that is going to be faced?
I think there are a lot of challenges that we didn't think about. I mean, clearly on top of our mind right now is COVID, right? How do you work with distributed network? How do you work with employees who are not around? How do you manage people? How do you make sure that finance, we have always talked about finance automation. We have always talked about electronics here and there and so on. But we were just joking earlier, Kamlesh, that the amount of innovation in the last few months has been has been crazy. It's a super speed innovation because we have no choice. So the idea of, e-approval, e-tracking, e-everything, and everything is online, everything is in the cloud. The push has been there greatly in the last few months. It has always been there, but it's a lot faster because of necessity. That will not change. I think in the next 3 to 5, maybe 3 years, 5 years is a bit far. But I think in the next 3 years, if any one of us think that we don't need to deal with data or electronic data on some form, time to rethink, because data is going to come at us much faster. Everything is going to be more electronic. We're going to be talking like this quite often. Online meetings is going to be normal. Online collaboration is going to be, there'll be new investment, new things that are being done in terms of how to do things online. And I think that being online is going to be one of the very clear, feasible change in the next few years. In the general sense, generally outside COVID, I think one of the major change that we need to be prepared, again, is related to this Industry 4.0 stuff. The idea that the data that we are looking at is going to be far more than what we normally would have. And the amount of interconnectivity, the idea of being able to know how your warehouse is doing all the way to your sales office, to your retail shop, and to take action, to be able to do things in that kind of connectedness is going to be a key thing. So I think two things. One is the idea of work will change because of COVID. And two, I think the idea of connectedness in some way will change all our other functions.
Yeah, and you also spoke about IoT and AI and ML. I mean, just these three things put together, is going to dramatically change the world that we are going to operate on. And if 5G comes through, which is going to be the rider of this whole game, I mean, it's going to be very different. You can have a virtual university at home. You can have a virtual bank at home. I mean, what we see in Star Wars today would probably be reality now very soon if we have 5G. Right. The next question, Niti, I will take your question about SMU and US schools a little later. We will ask the prof. Considering the current pandemic, this is asked by Ronak, scenario, how are the placements affected? Everybody is affected with the fact that am I going to be placed when I'm investing enough time and energy and money in re-educating or retooling myself, as you call it. Is it expected to get any better in the coming year or so, or in a couple of years?
Every company in the world is reassessing space, people, technology need. Everybody in the world is reassessing that. In relation to COVID, all right? Part of the issue is, and this whole talk about, I don't want to get political, but all this talk about safety versus economy, it's actually very, very important. Without economic growth, without economic engine, without economic activities, there's going to be no hiring. That is just a fact. No matter where you are in the world, if the economy doesn't move, there is no jobs. So to answer your question in a very realistic way, is it going to impact hiring? It will impact hiring if the economy does not move. And you can check smart people's prediction about the economy. If you think this is again, which alphabets do you like? Is it a U shape, V shape, W shape, wiggle shape, whatever shape recovery you're going to get? If the economy is going to be stuck at a negative point or very low growth, for how long? That's a key thing, for how long? If that is going to be there for a long time, everywhere in the world, jobs going to be more scarce because there's just no growth in the economy. That's just reality. Anybody who tells you otherwise is lying to you, all right? But there are pockets of economy that will do well even if the overall economy is not doing well. Healthcare, security, all this idea of contact tracing and knowing people and how do you manage risk and so on. Those are growing, all right, actually right now. The amount of hiring that people are doing for contact tracing, for hospital, for all that are growing. We don't have enough nurses. So,
That's right.
as an example. So yes, the economy is in a funny way, but very quick answer for you. And again, I'm being as frank as I can. If the economy doesn't move, there will be impact on jobs. Everybody know that.
Sure.
Nobody is going to sugarcoat that. The first thing every country is going to do is to support their citizens. You expect Indian government to support Indian citizens. You expect American government to support American citizens. You expect Singapore government to support Singapore citizens. That is their role. That is their role. Everybody is trying to save the business. So the government everywhere is putting funding to save the economy, save jobs, right? It's fair, it's everywhere. Because that's what government ought to do. Good government save people's life and save the economy and save people's job. By extension, if the government is putting a lot of effort in saving their citizens' job, there is automatically means local staff will be supported and funded and subsidized by government, not so much foreign talents. Right? So if I'm a Singaporean in America, US is probably not going to give me money. If I'm an Indian student in Australia, for example, or Hong Kong, or Singapore, for example, the government subsidy that is extended to business will not be extended to you. You will not qualify. If a company hire you, you will not qualify. So will that be impact? Yes, there will be an impact. But if the recovery is fast and the recovery is strong and we get past this and we become better at it, then obviously there is a lot more opportunities. Jobs goes together with the economy. Jobs go together with the economy. But it's very important that while the government is trying to save jobs right now everywhere in the world, if they become too protective, then the world will close up a bit more than what you're used to. I mean, you can look at them again. I don't want to get political, but you hear the story just yesterday and 2 days ago about visas in America, whether it's employment visa, whether it's student visa, and so on. People will close. The more people close, the less opportunity there will be. So to the quick reality, as I said again, is economy number one, and how open we will be after this phase. If the world economy is open again, then I think you'll find employment and opportunities are always going to be abound. The growth in Asia alone is going to help us with the jobs and so on. But a lot of it depends in the short term. And nobody has answered.
Professor, I think human mobility will be the decider of what the economy is going to be. But human beings in general are very positive species, right? And they will bounce back, I believe. And we hope to, and at least India has a huge population, so does China. And like you mentioned, Asia has a huge population and a big resource base also to take care of this. And we have had one of the crises before, the financial crisis of 2008, right? And it all bounced back. I mean, the sentiment in all stock markets was just going through the roof before COVID, right? And we will get back there. I think the basic economics will take care of human needs and wants.
Yeah, I think it's a question of how long. I think that's
how long.
Everybody's thinking about the how long.
Right.
So look, everybody is anxious, but I will also tell you another statistics. People tend to find the downtime as the best time to upgrade themselves.
Right.
Because opportunity costs are less. If I have to give up my work or my job or whatever else, when the economy is so well, everybody's getting promoted, everybody is getting, pay rise and everything else, and I take my time off, it's very, very costly. Whereas when times are not as busy, when I'm working at home anyway, when my boss are telling me, so there are opportunities to do things when the economy is lower. In general, we have statistics have shown us that graduate management enrollment go up when the economy goes down.
That's right. Fantastic. Professor Themin, thank you very much. There are some questions which are related to the technicalities of, entrance process procedures of SMU and all. I'll get that handled with Rajneesh, if you don't mind, right?
I will look through. I will pick 1-2 questions that I
sure,
can answer.
You can go ahead and pick any. Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
Pick one. I'll pick one. Well, Alicia says, if degree doesn't matter, is it okay to join any ordinary school or just learn online by myself? And the answer to that is part of it is validation. You go to a school that is recognized, registered because it carries some name. When you are sick, you want to go to a doctor who is qualified. When you need an electrician, when you need somebody who is accredited, practice or whatever. When you see a lawyer, so in our life, we depend on some level of assurance that somebody can do the thing they were supposed to do. It's very similar to university. Very similar. Not perfectly the same, but it's very similar. Just as you will not go to any doctor that is not qualified, you will not go to just any universities. So part of your research ought to be, what is that university like? What is the reputation? If you're going to go to a university like ours that is young, you need to understand we are young. We do things differently. If you go to a university that is comprehensive, you got to understand that it's a big faculty. They work in a certain way. So every university is different, but it does lend its powers to you. And this is an association, Alicia, that I think you may want to remember. You can divorce your husband or your wife. You cannot divorce your alma mater. You are forever a graduate of that university. Even if you do wrong, people will say, oh, this one graduate from where? People will still blame that association cannot change. So I hope you spend some time finding the right university that fits your purpose, because I think it'll stay with you if you do it right, with the right university, with the right fit that can help you do what you want to achieve in life. It is a lifelong association. So don't just choose anybody anyhow, okay? So very important. And one final question. How important is CGPA of undergraduate degree? It's not terribly important. That's a frank answer. The reason why it's not terribly important is because students are from every university, many university with many types of qualifications. Some use this method, some use that method, some do this, some do that, which is why good universities ask for an entrance test. Because they are looking at candidates from all around the world. And the best way to say that, look, I don't want to pass judgment on where you're from, the city you're from, the country you're from, your university and so on. Please sit this test, because all our candidates sit that test. This is why people like GMAT are in business. This is why people like GRE, TOEFL, IELTS are in business. This is why prep school prep you for those things, all right? Because there is value in making sure that you stand on the same basis like everybody else. This is why your CAT, your Indian institution have a very, very high cutoff and all that. It's because of the idea that we want to see you on one same basis. So the answer to that is, in general, not terribly important, because you have another test for it to show. However, it could be something that come up in a conversation. It could be something that in your interview, for example. So if your scores are borderline, for example, and your GPAs are very high, then that's a point of conversation. Whether the interview will bring it up or you bring it up during the interview, you say, hey, I did in my university, I did well, I love it. It comes up, and your interviewer may look at that favorably. Oh yeah, actually, even though the GMAT is so-so, but you know what? He has a 4.0 out of 4 or 3.9 out of 4. That must mean something. So that could come up. All right. And again, as I said, it's only can benefit you if you have a good GPA. It will only benefit you if you have a good GPA. But as itself, because the nature of international education, for a lot of universities, they look at your test score a little bit more. I think those are the questions I'm happy to answer. I know time is on us, so I think I will leave it to you to close. And for the rest of the people who are here, again, I want to thank everybody for listening me talking here in the evening in Singapore. I apologize. Some of you in the chat group say my screen wasn't clear. I don't know whether it's a network or something else. It's clear on my side, very clear on my side. So I don't know what was wrong. So I apologize for that, but my colleagues are around. And again, please come to smu.edu/masters. And that's where you can find all information about our programs. If there is a good fit between what you want and what we offer, we'll be very, very happy to hear from you. Thank you.
Fantastic, Professor Themin. Thank you very much. Such a pleasure to have you with us. And and I'm coming there to Singapore and meet you.
Of course.
And you are more than happy. We will be more than happy to host you here in India whenever you wish to. I know that a few years ago until last year, the CAT was an accepted examination at SMU, and me and Rajneesh and we had all worked out, and it was accepted, and now it is no more. So guys will have to take the GMAT. I hope you will reconsider the fact that you will start accepting the CAT again. Right. So thank you very much. Yeah. Sorry, you want to say something?
I was going to say I accept CAT, but the numbers were so small it doesn't make sense to accept CAT. So sorry.
Right. Okay. So all right.
Okay.
No problem. It's
never
okay.
mind.
Never mind. But it's one more test for the students to take. Anyway, it was a pleasure to have you with us. I will get Rajneesh to answer a few of the other questions, right, from the technical perspective. And you have a lovely evening, Professor. Thank you very much.
Stay safe, everybody. Stay safe, everybody. I hope you all do well. And I think if as you say, Kamlesh, as the world have taught us over many, many bad things that happened, whether it's SARS, financial crisis, political uncertainties and everything else, common sense prevail, regardless of who is in US, who is in whatever right now, and common sense prevail. We tend to do better in the long run.
Right.
So I hope that will not change. I wish you all the very best and that you're ready to master your future, however way you take it. Thank you.
Yeah, with that very positive note, once again, thank you, Professor Suwardy. Rajneesh, if you can unmute and come online, please. Rajneesh, yeah, and your video, please. All right, guys, that is Rajneesh there for you. And Rajneesh is himself a graduate of IIM Calcutta and of IIT Bombay. And for the last 7+ years, he's been helping and working with SMU as their India representative. Rajneesh, you have gone through the questions. Would you like to take some of those, from the technical perspectives? What are the key differences between MIM and MBA they are talking about? One of the questions is by Mir.
Okay, sure. And I have Ivan as well online. Ivan, you're there. You can always pitch in if you want to share your views. So first question is about the difference between MBA and MIM. Is that the question, Kamlesh?
Yeah, that's what Mir is asking right there.
Right. All right. So Mihir, if you look at primarily from a curriculum point of view, globally, not just in SMU, globally also, MBA and MIM are very similar programs. So both are postgrad degrees in management. Both would cover a wide area in management, so starting from accounting to operations to finance to strategy to HR and so on and so forth. Now the difference comes is basically in the design and delivery of the program. So let's take a simple example that I am a professor of marketing who is teaching the marketing course, right? When I go to an MIM class, MIM is typically for freshers, so if you have less experience, 0 to 2 years of experience, versus MBA is, people with 4, 5, 6 years of experience on an average. So let's say when I'm teaching this, so I'm just trying to explain the design of the program, right? So when I'm teaching the marketing as a subject to the class, if it's an MBA class, I give them a complex case on maybe branding or supply chain or pricing, whatever it is, right? I give them a complex marketing case. And because people have been exposed to marketing and sales and operations as a function area in their jobs, they can bring in their knowledge and try and solve the case. And then I keep giving them more information, bring in the marketing frameworks and theories and all of that to help them understand marketing as an area, right? Whereas same marketing, when I'm going to teach to a fresher class like an MIM, I cannot really give them a complex case, because let's say I have somebody who's an engineer, right? A civil engineer or a mechanical engineer in the program. At the same time, I have somebody who's a Bachelor of Arts. They may have not been exposed to marketing as a function. So I have to give them a little bit of theory, start with, simpler cases, and then gradually move them to more complex cases. So that's where the difference is. Curriculum wise, very, very similar programs. In fact, again, to bring in the Indian context, if you look at the PGDM degrees of IIMs, technically they are MIM degrees. They are not really an MBA. So if you go to the FT rankings and check the PGDM course of IIM Calcutta or IIM Bangalore or IIM Ahmedabad, these are listed as an MIM program, whereas these schools also offer you a course called PGPX or Executive PGP, etc. These are listed as an MBA. So technically the difference is it's a similar curriculum, but MBA is the curriculum designed for people with more experience, and MIM is a similar curriculum which is for freshers. So that's, in a nutshell, is the difference. I hope I was able to explain it. Ivan, you if you would like to add something.
I would like to add, it's a very simple thing globally. Anybody with less than 2 years experience has to go into an MIM compulsorily.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And anybody with more than 2 years is eligible to apply into an MBA program, primarily because of the points that you stated. Absolutely fine. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, okay. All right. So, how is the job market in Singapore? Will it be affected? I mean, how are the placements at SMU? What do you expect of the placements that are going to happen this year?
I think Prof. Themin did touch upon this point quite a lot about the economy and jobs are in sync with the economy and then openness of the country. So I think that was fairly covered, right, Kamlesh?
Okay.
Nothing really I want to add there. That was fairly well covered by Prof. Themin. Yeah.
Fair enough. Then I think there are some questions about GPA and some questions about the programs. Guys, there are enough programs over there. Rajin, if you can just name the 7-6 programs that you have over there for people without experience, and MBA I think is the only one with work experience, right, for the full time.
No, so let's go stream by stream. So if you're looking at a management curriculum, then if you're a fresher, you have an MIM. If you have an experience, then you have MBA as an option, and then there's an executive MBA, which is for people with 10 plus years of experience. If you go to finance, then if you're looking for a master's in finance program, then we have 2 courses which are for freshers. So there's an applied finance, there's a quantitative finance. If you have 2 or more years of experience, then you have courses like wealth management. So here I think you can see this on the screen itself. If you are looking at, let's say, analytics or technology broadly speaking, so let's say fintech or analytics or AI, then you have an MITB program, which is kind of both for freshers and experience. So here we don't really have experience as a requirement, though we prefer people with more experience, but even on we even accept fresh graduates. Then a couple of courses in economics and accounting, which are open for freshers. So post-experience courses are, if you're looking at management, there's an MBA. If you're looking at finance, there's wealth management. Then some of these specialized courses like communication management, human capital leadership. These are the courses where we require people to have certain amount of experience, typically 2 years.
Okay. Rajneesh, can you also throw a little light, just an average fee point for these programs? What will be? And what will be the cost of living in Singapore? Because these are 2 questions that have come up. Yeah.
Sure. So generally, the range of the fee for most of our, in fact for all suite of our courses is anywhere from 35,000-40,000 Singapore dollars till 65,000-70,000 Singapore dollars. So if you look at some of these pre-experienced masters like MIM, MAF, MQF, etc., they are around 44,000-45,000 Singapore dollars, irrespective of whether they are a 1-year program or an 18-month program. So this is not like an annual fee. This is the fee for the whole curriculum. Typically, an MBA is about 67,000 Singapore dollars. Wealth management is around the same fee. MITB is about 48,000 Singapore dollars. So I'm just giving you some of these numbers. Now, some of these programs are 1 year, like MQF is a 1-year program. Wealth management is 1 year. MIM is 18 months. MAF is 18 months. So it depends, but the fee remains the same. These are just the tuition fees. Okay, so your living are additional. The figure I get from our Indian students who go every year and study in SMU courses is, for a typical student life, you can manage your expenses on a monthly basis in about 1,000 to 1,500 Singapore dollars. So, that will cover your stay, your food, your travel, your phone, some sundry expenses, for a typical student sort of a life. So, of course, it depends on your lifestyle. If you want to have a condo to yourself or a studio to yourself, your cost will go up, right? If you eat out on a regular basis, eat out at a fancy restaurant, obviously your cost will go up. But this is the broader range. So depending on your lifestyle, you can manage it even in slightly lesser than that. You can even go higher.
Okay.
Also, since we're talking about the fee, I also want to associate, I want to bring the associated topic of, how do I kind of minimize my expenses, and what do you do as a school to support me in managing my expenses. So there's a scholarship. So most of these programs have certain amount of scholarships, certain structure to scholarships. Some would be on the basis of your academic profile, some would be on the basis of your community work that you've done, some would be on the basis of your leadership potential. So different structures. There's also, these are the scholarships which are kind of merit based, etc. Then there are financial aids available. So school, some programs would offer. So you're a good candidate, we've selected you, but let's say you don't really have the financial means to support your education stay. Then we kind of give you that means based support up to certain limit. Then there's an option of, also a lot of these programs have an internship, right? These are typically paid internship. So when you do an internship in Singapore, you get some stipend. So it'll cover some part of your living expenses depending on your internship and the duration of the internship. So that's another aspect. The fourth aspect is your education loan. Now, probably Singapore is the only country, I'm not sure about other countries, probably Singapore is the only country where you can even get a loan which is in the local interest rate. So Singapore, typically the interest rate is way lower than what you have in India, right? In India, if you take an education loan, it'll cost you about anywhere from 8, 10 up to 12%, depending on which bank you go to and all that, right? Whereas if you take loan from SBI Singapore, which is the our own SBI, but the Singaporean entity, they'll give you education loan, and that's only for Indian students at about 4 to 5% interest. So that's again some amount of saving that you can make there. Right, so these are the various aspects, of course. And in this last point on the same thing.
Wait, Rajneesh, are you serious that if I go to Singapore and get the loan from there, how do I get that?
That's SBI. That's the SBI, right? So SBI will ask for a collateral in India, and then they do the letter of credit transfer to the Singaporean entity, and then they do the disbursement there. That's why you get the Singaporean rate. And
but I thought first we have to go there and then get the loan, right? The SBI from there will process. No?
They'll start the processing, but your collateral will be taken in India, right? So it's only for Indian students.
Okay, pretty interesting. That was I did not know about this. All right. So now we are already at 7:20. So can you please answer the question? Are most of these programs, the pre-experience ones, is their deadline still open? Can the students still apply for this September? The intake is this September, right, or August?
Okay. Some have two intakes, like MIM has August and January intake.
January, yeah.
July, August, we are more or less done. You can still, and I'm guessing you won't have, the number of students wouldn't have done GMAT or GRE yet. So right now it may not be possible in some of these programs to really apply, because it takes about some time for you to apply and then for you to write the exam and all that. So January definitely you can look at. Some of the courses like MBA, you still have time. MF, etc. I think we can still consider. What I would do is, let's take it on a case-by-case basis. If there's somebody who's really very keen, you're really very serious, that you want to start in August, we can try and see if you can put in your application. Because of our relationship with IMS, we can definitely try and see if you can make that exception for you. I really cannot commit, because that's something that has to come from the various program teams and the academic directors. We'll try our best to see if we can still accept some applications from really good candidates. We can probably try and do that. So rather than giving a very generic answer, this is what I can probably suggest at this point of time. Ivan, do you want to add something?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Question. Viraj wants to know what is the minimum GPA for a finance specialization that you require. He really wants to do finance.
Okay, I think Prof. Themin answered that question. It's if you want to really know, we don't really have GPA is an explicit criteria. You do well in your GMAT, will probably not even be looking at your GPA. If you think your GPA is average, don't worry about it. If you think it's poor, I leave that to you to define how poor your GPA you think is. If you think it's poor, do well in your GMAT or GRE to compensate for your perceived academic ability.
Okay, guys. I would like to thank Rajneesh, Ivan. Ivan, I am sorry there were no questions. That would you like to add something, Ivan? That this is a good time to add before I close.
Not really. I think most of the points have been covered by both Prof. Themin and Rajneesh. I just look forward to kind of getting the opportunity to meet some of the candidates coming in to apply for courses and coming to Singapore.
Sure. Thank you very much, Ivan. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Rajneesh. Rajneesh, for one last thing, could you put your contact details so that the students can connect with you? You can put it either on the chat. The chat would be nice if you could put your contact details on the chat. Some of the students may get in touch with you for these questions, and you can then answer for them. Alternately, Rajneesh and I would always tell you to come to an IMS counselor, and they will be able to answer. And they will take your questions to Rajneesh. But Rajneesh, I think it's better that you put your also, if you want to put that, is your email ID.
I already did that. Just
oh, you already did that? Where is that?
Yeah.
In the chat box?
Yeah, in the chat. Yeah.
It's at the top or at the bottom?
To all panelists and attendees, can you see that?
Yeah, at the bottom, Kamlesh.
Yeah, at the bottom, yeah.
I can't see it. So you can see it?
Yes, Kamlesh, I can.
Okay. Then I hope students can.
Let me also do one more thing very quickly.
Sorry.
Can I share my screen? I think I can share my screen, no?
Now I got it. It is rajneeshv@smu.edu.sg. Yeah, that's it. So guys, you can write to Rajneesh, you can write to Sumit also. Sumit, if you want to put your email ID, please do that. You can talk to your consultant. And if you guys want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'll be more than happy to connect with you on LinkedIn. I try to answer as many questions that I can also on LinkedIn. It was a pleasure to have SMU. Rajneesh, thank you for arranging Dr. Themin. And Ivan, Dr. Themin, thank you very much. Thank you guys for attending. Have a nice evening and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kamlesh. Thank you, IMS team.
Thanks, Rajneesh. Thanks, everyone.